So the first game that I'm going to be casting today, that is quite old school, is going to be between DK, who is actually Salska. You definitely will be remembering this name if you are with the game for at least a few years. Yeah, you could have definitely read it somewhere. And, well, against him is going to be standing Elklan Buddha. And Elklan, well, that was really quite a big name. Even just a few years ago, it was still a big name in Age of Empires. That was a clan that was hosting quite big and high price team tournaments. And that was basically something that started all the big things in Age of Empires, like, for example, right now the Nations Cups and whatnot. It was really basically a championship of the whole world. Well, the gods are going to be Loki and Isis, and we are playing, of course, without any kind of patch. This game has been played on 10th February 2004, so it's already more than 13 years old. It's a very old game indeed, and I'm definitely curious about the meta back then, as I don't really remember it all that much. But yeah, we should be expecting quite slower gameplay than we are seeing today. Alright, we are looking at Salska as the first one, DK. So far having pretty nice boom ready map for him, but he's of course Norse, so not really anything all that expected from him. Looking at the Loki player in here, otherwise some extra hunt somewhere. So far not really seeing it all that much. Just the gold is starting at the back, which is definitely a nice bonus for him. Back TC also on top of that, so it seems like that this might be a pretty good map for the Loki player. Going to be coming for a bit of scouting around. In the meantime, let's switch into Buddha to have a point of view of his, as he's playing the Isis, he's having front hand, the same as his opponent, not really any kind of problem. And the gold is also kind of reasonably defensible, if not by the tower being close by and the positioning towards the back, as he's still trying to hit the extra villager. You can see that he's not really using autokill. That's why we are hearing that he's still trying to click in, and that's, of course, something that back then you could have seen from some players, because they weren't really used to the new Age of Mythology, the Titans expansion, and they were still playing with the customs from their original game. To finish my thought about the gold, of course, there is of course a bit of help through the stones, because they are impossible. This is potentially going to be possible. It's about that, but otherwise, we are looking at gold on the right, and that's about it. But if he does conquer this basically back TC for him, it's going to be helping him quite immensely, because of course it will mean that he will be left with gold for quite a decent amount of time for the time to come, of course. Otherwise, back to... Well, he's actually having both TCs kind of backish, even though the literally back TC is literally useless. It doesn't capture anything at all, doesn't cover anything at all either. And of course, it also means that these hunts and this gold, even though it might be quite tempting, I'm not exactly sure if he's gonna go for it. The one on the right seems much better because of the Aurochs right next to it. Even those normal elks in there definitely will be a bit more favorable for his gameplay. In the meantime, we are right now going to be switching into DK, aka Salska, who's already moving in to have a bit of a look on his opponent, and is yet potentially going to be playing the standard aggressive gameplay as back then, which was basically... Really, it was a normal standard just for Norse to build the dock, or rather dock, temple right next to your opponent. That was really done pretty much every game. And it's almost seeming like that he might be, but he is just moving around so far, having a look where it would be the best place for him to look for the opponent villages and potentially raid them once he advances into the next age. Let's check in the meantime the relics. That's going to be better built in LOS, that's a very great one. Especially for the defensive player. He will see the raiders a long way. And better caravans, cost and speed, that would be pretty nice for the Egyptian, but at the same time, on an open map like this, not exactly sure if that would be really that useful. And it's going to be aggressive temple, exactly as expected, as it was really usual back then, and I'm definitely curious if he's going to be able to somehow surprise the Isis. I'm kind of thinking that the Isis might be attempting to go for something fairly standard, like really some normal advance into the faster heroic, something like 7.5 minutes. Yeah, nothing really like 2 TC and whatnot, but definitely could be surprised, and I'm definitely really curious what the strategy is going to be. If it's going to be something that we know from today, or if it's going to be something slightly different. Otherwise, looking around the map, pretty much fair hand for both players. A lot of it's fairly safer right now for DK. You can see he's a bit more to the corner, as he's having better position on the TC, whereas behind Red, there is nothing really like that. The hand is a bit more to the left, so it's kind of openish, and that's definitely something that the blue player should be taking advantage of if he has scouted there, which he hasn't. So he basically doesn't know what his opponent is gonna do next. He just kind of knows that Hunt is in the front. He might be really wanting to move there, but he doesn't even know about the front TCs, or rather the back TCs that the front are missing for Buddha. And well, he will have to do a whole lot more scouting, exactly as he's right now doing, as he's already sticking to the base. Buddha not really wanting to go out of his base like at all. So going through Heimdall, that's of course usual for Loki, as we are going to be switching for the ICs, how he is actually looking with advance. Just now coming through Bus, that's going to be fairly fast. Fairly fast for an ICs 515 advance, that's not really bad at all. And it's going to be quite similar to Salska. It's going to be just like half a minute later, but he definitely needs to hurry up with gathering from those elks, because his opponent is right on his doorstep and he's going to be annoying him pretty soon. So far he's at least seeing that those guys are there, and as soon as he finishes with the house, he's going to be coming for the villagers. Another Herser is coming up, so this is basically fairly standard gameplay by the Loki. Even though the advance is not really that standard. Let's have a quick check, for example, on economy upgrades. He's having pickaxe, and his opponent is so far looking how with, well, so far nothing, but it's going to be probably coming later. At least the pickaxe should be. In the meantime, he's of course working on full on defenses, as he's also coming for a second mining camp for a bit more efficiency, but it of course means that the potential empowering is not going to be that effective, because of course only the one mining camp is going to be empowered. This is actually a very nice wall, because it basically kind of lures DK into fighting for it, because he kind of needs to get into the tower that is right now protected by the monument and also by the houses in there. So that's nicely played by that, and really going to be a bit harder for Salska to deal with that just now. But this army is growing up as double longhouses are built, and one of them is actually going to be switching, quite interestingly, into raiding cavalry. So not really some full-on Hersiers or whatever like that. And he's going to be intent on getting rid of that. So what's actually going to be the idea from Buddha? So far, not really seeing anything all that interesting. He seems to be gathering resources for faster heroic. So apparently just defense with the Sphinx and a few priests, that seems to be it. And kinda it could be enough. Because of course what he needs something shooting against the Hersiers, and please do that, and they are of course quite effective against the mythical unit spawn, so yeah, why not? That seems like a pretty decent idea for him. In the meantime, of course, tower is going to be falling, even though this tower is not that crucial. It does protect the food, but yeah, nothing really all that greatly important, and it might be coming into play a bit later, because of course there are no goats, as you can see, next to red TCs, and neither next to blues, so this was a map that didn't respawn with any goatees all that much. And well, he is of course moving fully right now on the right, and that's because there is both Hunt and the gold, and of course the TC as well. And if he can really finish with the barracks fast enough, he seems to be finishing just alright. So that was actually very nicely played by Buddha, basically fully evading his opponent Salska. And you can kind of tell that right now he's slowly moving to the right, because he's even the Aine are selected, so it's going to be taking it quite some time to get onto those villages, and after that they will be quite easily able to retreat from this dangerous position. Oh, that this one is gonna die, maybe even the second one. But this was actually a pretty nice micro, because you could have seen that this one villager was actually selected one by one and sent to the bottom. So yeah, that was nicely done by Buddha, taking care to actually control his army fully, and it seems to be not really paying off in the end, because he was in the end keeping the villages in the place, because he was probably microing the army. And even though the battle was pretty bad for him from the very start, he should have taken it. It should have been kind of obvious that without priests he would be able to deal with the mythical units. He did at least delay what was going on in there, and he's giving himself a bit of time to get some economy up going. In the meantime, though, Salska should be having pretty much an upper hand, as he's really controlling his opponent quite well, but he really mustn't underestimate what's happening on the right, and it's really looking like that actually he doesn't know at all. Yeah, he doesn't have any kind of idea that his opponent is on the right side, and that's kind of bad scouting, has to be said. At least one of the horses right now, he's sending them to the left, should be scouting all across the map, because he has to kind of wonder where the TCs are, and they need to be either on the left or on the right. And looking at this, basically, if it's not here, it is right now going to be discovering, he basically will know that all the army is going to be on the right side, but or rather the next TC is going to be on the right side. In the meantime, army from red is coming into the offensive, trying to basically catch his opponent off guard, which seems to be working quite alright. He does have pretty decent amount of resources, and is he gonna come for Throwing Axeman, and I'm kind of waiting if maybe he's gonna be attempting even medium something, like the cavalry, or maybe just the infantry. Not really sure what would be better at this case. You know, rather in this case, I'm kind of thinking the throwing Axeman because, of course, he's going to be facing a ton of Axeman, of course. Normal Axeman with some speedman on top of that, so the throwing Axeman will be quite useful for him indeed. Switching into another temple, building houses so that he isn't a house anymore. And of course the army is still growing, still continuously growing. But so is right now for red, who is moving on for the hunt in the middle. But that's a bit too close, that's a bit too close to blue. There is right now Andre attack at the top, so he might not really notice that fast enough. But he will be noticing pretty soon because of course that's slightly unfortunate for the red player, as he's going to be discovered in the spot on the right. Well, so far going for some fairly good micro, it seems like. Just sending the spears, making sure that the Nikes are actually not going to be coming on top of them. Whereas he's leaving the Beast against those mythical units, and Axeman together with the Slingers against exactly the infantry. So it seems like that even though he is doing a pretty great job with their micro in here, it's not going to be enough because the army of his opponent is simply stronger. And the mythical units are just really paying off quite big time. Even against the Pharaoh in here, really kind of tough time for Buddha, and even though he's still very much alive, continue with the economy at the bottom, the army has just been annihilated, and I don't really think that he's going to be having enough reinforcements just now. Here you can see just a few units in there, and that's definitely not up to par with what Salska is so far having. So, kinda curious if there's going to be some kind of attempt by Buddha to advance into the next age, or if they are just gonna be battling it out in the classical age. So far it seems like the latter case. And, well, it's going to be just basically waiting for time, because Salska just needs to wait until his opponent runs out of gold, and since he has just now exactly scouted what he needed to, he knows there's the gold, that there are the military buildings, and he will know that this is exactly where he needs to attack. He's already moving in for the kill, and once he does, he's of course going to be denying the gold, and that might be just basically one step closer to hell for Clan Buddha. So yeah, just still moving with the INR in front, so he's of course moving pretty slow with all his units. He should be really moving them somewhere else and just allow the horses to be fighting just by themselves, and he's just basically right now luring him inside the base. He's already run out of gold, and unfortunately I don't think that he actually knows about the gold at the top. He doesn't. So he actually kind of thinks that this is the only gold that he can be getting, and he's really running out. He's right now at 500, and of course that will be quite a big problem for him pretty soon. Even though he can gather as much wood and as much food as he can, without the gold, yeah, Egyptian is literally completely toast. So very nicely played right now so far by Salska, basically out-controlling the Egyptian, really playing to the map and making sure that he is not going to be allowing him to basically let the situation get out of hand. And it has to be said that the game is a bit different from the games that you see today, because in today's situation you would basically everybody see, or rather see everyone, just trying to rush into the heroic age no matter what, and you wouldn't be facing your opponent in the classical fight like at all. But yeah, here Buddha went for it, and so far it doesn't really seem to be working all that much, even though he has locked up on the goal, but it is nicely guarded by Salska, and he will know exactly where to send the horses to kill his opponent. Our villagers coming to the bottom, trying to basically find something else like some extra hunt or whatnot, maybe even the gold in there, but with the army coming to the left and probably right now trying to secure the gold mine for himself, it's going to be pretty hard for him to survive, because he's gonna lose all the military buildings and the houses on the right. Probably already rebuilding inside his base, yes he is, but the gold is quite inevitably running out right now, down to just 100, and he is already forced out of this position. But of course, reinforcements coming up. He's going to be trying to get rid of all the raiding cavalry and get back onto the gold mine, as otherwise inside his base there was a bit of attempt at raiding by Salska, but nothing really all that big, and he's going to be quite fine getting gold and food still for at least a few minutes forward into the future. But of course we are going to be expecting nice play by Salska trying to steal the TC, and this is actually pretty important because he will be making sure that his opponent is really out of gold altogether, and there's absolutely no chance for him to come back once he loses this position on this large gold mine. So this is going to be the last stand for Buddha. Of course, Salska is just going to be biding his time, waiting for the correct moment, as he's already having medium raiders, not any kind of extra upgrades. Not even medium throwing axemen, but I don't really think that he needs anything like that. He just needs the extra upgraded horsemen, and kinda curious that he isn't building Hersirs yet. Rather still. That he isn't continuing with them, because he does have the resources, he's housed. So he's apparently going to be aiming for the heroic age, but yeah, well. Kinda curious that Loki doesn't go all that much for the Hersirs, because that is, of course, a pretty huge advantage for him with the mythical units, as they are for free, and they do take a large chunk of damage from the other units. So yep, that's that. In the meantime, just finishing with the armory and also with another longhouse. So he's coming basically rather preparing for the last attack, just now finishing with the TC and going into the heroic age with Bragi. So basically just waiting for the flaming weapons to totally and absolutely destroy his opponent. But he should be careful because of course he's letting him basically get the gold and get ready for him. As we are looking at medium speedmen being researched, and well, of course, that's going to be one TC army against a 2 TC army with flaming weapons, which shouldn't be really any kind of problem for Salska. So he's just biding his time and hoping to strike on his opponent when the time is best. Just switching into him, just really waiting the last few seconds for the heroic age, as he's already moving slowly but surely into the battlefield. And yep, he might really want to attempt to somehow sneak the raiders to the top. He exactly right now is trying to outmaneuver his opponent to go back to, of course, right now these slingers. He's almost there, and he's even going to be using the flaming weapons. But it almost seems like that he actually might be wanting to go for it fairly and squarely without the good powers, but in the end he just thought, yeah, screw that, let's go for the flaming weapons and kill the opponent in full without any kind of chance of recuperation. So you can see already 5 Hersirs, or rather Aenears, being spawned from the Hersirs. Finally we are seeing some more of them. So I was talking about that a bit earlier, that they are missing, yep, total annihilation of the army, control of the gold on the right, and of course slaughter of villages on the left. So yep, here's the GG, and pretty good control by Salska against Alkan Buddha in this old school game. And yep, this is a full-on aggressive Loki against classical fighting Eggy, which is definitely something you don't see all that often lately, and this is kind of the reason why. Because Egyptians, especially without the balance patch, they really weren't that great in classical fighting, and it's usually better just to hurry up somehow into the next age, sometimes with second TC, with the back one, and just get better economy, defend until you are ready, and then with the Migral units you do have a chance against your opponent. So that's that, that's the first game, and let's check the post game. So, economy. Well, basically everything coming for Salska. Well, not really any kind of big wonder right there. Looking how the game went. But in the end they were having quite similar military count, but the efficiency was just so much better. So much better for Salska. "14 Aenears." Well, that was definitely a favorite unit to spawn for the Hersirs. And also kind of the least useful, or... It's not like it's totally useless, but since it's slow, it's basically just made for full-on engagements and full-on melees. And that's kind of something that you really don't want to engage in all that much, especially once you are having horses, which was something that Salska was having, and your opponent having a ton of spears. Okay, GG.